Witam Cię bardzo, ale to bardzo serdecznie, drogi widzu. Ja jestem Paweł Kamiński z redakcji wrestlingnews.pl, a wraz ze mną jest David Starr, gwiazda sceny niezależnej. Zawodnik, który występował w takich federacjach jak Evolve, Combat Zone Wrestling, TNA, czy też Revolution Pro podczas gali Global Wars. A to wszystko mając zaledwie 25 lat. David, hello.
Hey, what's up, guys?
I would like to start off with the first question. In many interviews, you were asked about your inspirations in becoming a wrestler. Your answers were about Iron Man match between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart at WrestleMania, and about CM Punk's legendary pipe bomb. Could you tell us more about how it influenced you as a wrestler?
Well, the Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart Iron Man match at Mania 12 is like my first wrestling memory. I saw it when I was 5 years old, and I was just completely captivated by it. The Shawn Michaels entrance, and then like the sport of the match was just so good, and the emotion and the intensity. You could tell how much the match meant to each wrestler. So that was kind of what got me hooked on wrestling. And the CM Punk pipe bomb promo was what rehooked me into wrestling. I'd become more of like a casual fan, and I would watch it here and there, that was just kind of how it was. And I didn't watch independent wrestling at all until I was about 6 months into wrestling, actually myself. So I watched that promo, and it made me question what was real and everything. It was just so great. It got me totally hooked in. So that kind of was like the kick in the ass I needed to go all out and pursue being a wrestler. That was pretty much what it was. Like that promo sealed the deal for me.
Mm-hmm. Did you try to take something from this promo into your promos?
Well, the thing in general, like CM Punk was one of the best promos possibly ever. He's a great talker. He's a great storyteller, everything. So a guy like that is somebody that I've watched a lot of his stuff now, and you can see how genuine he is when he talks, and everything comes off so natural. So in that regard, yeah, because I like to be that way when I do promos myself. I try to just talk. I don't like to usually think about what I'm going to say. I kind of just like to talk. So it's pretty, it was inspirational that way. I guess that's what kind of, I use that and pull it into myself a bit.
So you don't prepare any scenario for the promo. You just go there and talk, yes?
I'd say like 90% of the time, yes.
Okay, that's nice. You said that the Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels Iron Man's match was the first one you watched, but which match was the first one you watched live in the audience?
Ooh, my first live. Well, I went to I couldn't tell you which was first, but I remember I went to some like WWF house shows, and I went to a couple WCW shows and stuff live as a fan. But I couldn't tell you which one was first. I think the first thing I remember going to a house show in Philadelphia for WWF, and Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestled Goldust, and Goldust was on the mic before trying to tell Stone Cold that he didn't really want to wrestle him. And he was like, "Oh, why do we need to wrestle? Why don't we just go out and get some pizza and we'll have a good time here?" And something like that's literally, I remember him saying that. And then Stone Cold was like, "I don't want to get pizza with you. If I'm getting pizza, it's going to be with all these people." And everyone was like, "Yeah." And then he went in there and just kind of beat up Goldust. And then China came out to try and make the save, or like tried to beat up Stone Cold for some reason. And then Stone Cold gave her a DDT. And I remember that. And so I think that's probably my first live wrestling memory. Like from from when I was a kid. I also remember I saw WCW Thunder when Wolfpack and NWO Hollywood were like feuding. I was also there live when Kevin Nash blew out his quad in that 6-man tag with the Dudleys. I remember that. And that was something I was like, whoa, it was a little crazy. Yeah, no. So I have some good live wrestling memories from when I was a kid. I was there for when Benoit won the Rumble.
Oh,
that was cool.
That was great.
Yeah.
Did you remember any other events or wrestlers which had a big influence on your career besides Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and CM Punk?
Other wrestlers who I've like watched that I like look up to or are inspired by. I mean, Ric Flair. My favorite wrestler of all time is Superstar Billy Graham. I loved like Bruno Sammartino has some of the best like babyface fire ever. I loved watching Bruno and Superstar wrestle. I loved watching Dusty Rhodes. I loved watching Flair. I used to have in fact, I have a big poster in my room over here of Sting.
Could you show us?
Sure. It's Sting giving the big bump to Flair off the top, like the typical Flair bump. How do I turn this camera?
Oh, that's a nice part. Yeah,
I have a Sting.
Nice.
And I have a Sting plate right here.
That's nice.
But yeah, I was a big Sting fan when I was a kid. But yeah, I mean, there's so many guys like WCW Chris Jericho I remember loving WCW Chris Jericho, and I mean, who isn't influenced? If you say you're not influenced by what like The Rock has done or what Stone Cold's done, and you're from my time and you watched the Attitude Era, you're lying. So yeah, no, there's a lot of guys that I pull from. Some of my favorites, again, favorite ever is Superstar. I love Flair. I love Jericho. I love Shawn. I love Bret. I love Bruno and Dusty and all those guys. Like the Von Erichs were great. The feud with like the Von Erichs and the Freebirds is amazing. There's so many guys that I could mention. My favorite all time is Superstar Billy Graham, though.
Okay, that's great. You were trained by a member of legendary Samoan family, Samu.
Yeah, man.
Could you tell us more about this experience? Were the trainings very hard or not?
Yeah, they were hard. The Wild Stone Training Center in Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is currently run, like you said, by Samu Anawai. They do it old school, man. Like, we had to do like a bunch of squats before we started. We had to do all the bumps before we started, and that's a big man school too. So it was a little difficult for me because I had to take all the moves from all the big guys that wanted to try their stuff. So that wasn't easy. I got beat up a lot. And they beat me up in the way you're supposed to be brought in to wrestling. So that was great. Yeah, but it was really hard. Hell yeah, it was hard. And I was still wrestling in college at the time too. So I was wrestling in college, going to class, doing wrestling, doing all that all at the same time. So it was a lot of work.
Which lesson do you remember the most?
Oh, jeez. Man, like from a physical wrestling thing, I remember like physically, I remember getting beat up during drills, and I was in there and there was a bunch of people in every corner and they all just would club me and punch me and kick me. And I'd have to go around the ring and everybody who was there had to beat me up. And then they were like, yeah, we're going to beat you up for real. So then, then you keep yourself open all the time, like all that stuff. So yeah, I got beat up for real. And that was a good lesson. It was a good way to break me in, and, it humbles you. And I think it's needed, but it wasn't like abusive. Like they abused me, but it was voluntary, and I think it's a way of getting into business, and I think it's important to have that kind of experience.
In your opinion, does the way wrestlers train change during these years between your first training and today?
I mean, yeah, I'm not some grizzled veteran by any means, but from all the schools that I've trained at this point, where I'll bounce around and I'll go from place to place as far as where I train at regularly, and I'll pick up trainings here and there just to get new people and continue to get better. The Wildstone Training Center is one of the few places that does it the old school way. And I'm like, the Monster Factory does it the old school way. Locally, I know, I'm sure there's a bunch. I'm sure WXW in Florida, the Wildstone Training Center down there probably does it the old school way, and I think that's the best way. That's just my opinion, based on how I feel, and how I feel that affected me as quickly as it did moving forward.
Okay, I would like to change topic about your in-ring experience and career.
Sure.
Many fans of wrestling consider Combat Zone Wrestling as too dangerous federation. You fought 42 matches there, so you have a really big experience.
I've had 42 Combat Zone matches?
Yeah, 42 during your own career. I count.
Wow.
What is your opinion about Combat Zone Wrestling? Is it really too dangerous or not?
No, it's not too dangerous. I think if you're referring to like death matches and stuff, I have a great deal of respect for the deathmatch wrestlers, for the people that are willing to put their body on the line to present their art form. If that's how they feel they can express themselves, that's totally up to them, and more power to them. You know, it's the most physical form of entertainment out there, period. And I mean, it's not for everybody. It's not. But CZW isn't only death matches. There are a lot of great wrestlers that have come through CZW in its entirety, like through its entire existence. CZW always had one of the best junior heavyweight divisions. It always had some of the top independent stars start there or come through there or whatever. So CZW is a great place. It's a great place to be and a great place to be seen. And locker room's cool. Everything about CZW is pretty cool. So there are certain boundaries that some guys push that I probably wouldn't necessarily be interested in pushing. But more respect to him. Like, one of my best friends in the world is Masada, and he's done things that, man, like, they're crazy. And like guys like Matt Tremont, even guys like Joey Janela and like Danny Havoc and Devin Moore, they've done so much. And like, the names go on and on and on. People that have died for deathmatch wrestling. It's not for everybody, but the people that it is for, you're going to get the best at CZW.
You said about the deathmatch. Many former CZW wrestlers said that the federation is paying too low for this type of hardcore matches. Do you agree with that statement?
They're paying too low?
Yes, they said that they are paying too low for.
I mean, whatever wrestlers agree to as far as their value is what they agree to as far as their value. That's a personal thing. CZW has always taken care of me. I've never had any issues like that with CZW, so I can only speak on a personal level. But again, everybody has their price and everybody has their value that they set, and that's between them and whatever promoter or promotion they're working for. So I can't really speak to that.
Okay, I understand. Yeah. And what do you think about blood in wrestling in general? Do you think it is a very good thing to bring more interest in the fight, or is it not really necessary?
There's a time and a place for everything. I mean, if I think about what I loved watching when I was a kid, I like the old NWA tapes and stuff and the old WWF tapes, or WWF tapes. Like, I loved watching Ric Flair and his platinum blonde hair have blood, like wearing as Gordon Soley would say, a crimson mask, and his hair, and looking at pictures of Dusty and Superstar, like all bloodied from a hour-long fight they had, or all that stuff, like that's really cool to me. The visual is great. Again, there's a time and a place for everything. Do I think like every match should have blood in it? No, of course not. But if it means something and it gets the right reaction or whatever, then sure. I guess, again, I can just say it again. There's a time and a place for everything.
Many of your fans think that your fight with JT Dunn at Tangled Web 8 was the best one in your entire career. But others will say that the tag team match, Absolute Andy and Marius Al-Ani versus you and Leo Rush at WXW, Broken Rules, was the better one. What is your opinion about that? Do you agree with your fans, or maybe you have another favorite match?
I mean, that's great that fans have an opinion of what they think my best match is. That's cool. And I really enjoyed both those matches. My favorite match that I've ever been in is with Dave Christ at Down with the Sickness this past year. Was the no DQ match, and that's my favorite match I've ever been in. And then the second after that would be the 104-minute match that I had with Dave. But like, I've had a lot of fun ones, especially in 2016, and hopefully keep adding to that list in 2017.
Which fight do you remember the most when it comes to the best man to work with?
Dave Christ. I think Dave Christ is my favorite person to wrestle.
Do you have with
followed by after that, I'd probably say Shane Strickland.
Do you have a special ring chemistry with them, or is it something other?
Well, they're both those guys they're so good at what they do, and we just seem to mesh well. They're both just so good at what they do, so I'm fortunate enough to get to work with guys like that.
If you need to choose one fight from entire career to send to the fans to show them what you are capable of, which fight would you choose? The fight you told Ariel or another one?
Well, I mean, again, like the Dave Christ match at Down with the Sickness is my favorite match I've ever had. But again, a lot of fans, because it was a no DQ match and it did get hardcore. There were skewers and thumbtacks and there was blood in that match, and we fought out into the crowd and there was a lot of stuff like that. So that's not necessarily for everybody. I think my best match might be the best of the best finals from this past year against Jonathan Gresham. So I think if I were to, but I mean, it's also very long. So see, there's all those things, like what would I say now? I think this year has been pretty good for me. I felt really good. I think it's the best I've ever been. I feel like I'm getting better every day. I've had new experiences that have made me a better performer and everything. So I guess, again, I have to say my favorite match is the Dave Christ match from Down with the Sickness. And I think that after that would be the best finals match from this past year's Best of the Best.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I would like to change the topic into tag teams and stables. You were part of many tag teams with JT Dunn or Shane Strickland. You were also a part of a stable called Culture of Charisma. Which one do you prefer, tag teams or stables?
I mean, that's so funny, the Culture of Charisma thing. That was a thing that went on for a couple months in the first few months of my career. And that was fun for the time that it lasted. But it didn't last long at all or have much impact. That's funny that you remember that you looked that up. No, I mean, I love tag team wrestling. I like factions and stables when they're done properly, and all that's good. Again, it just depends on how you make it happen. I haven't ever been a part of a faction like full time at a company since probably 2012 when I first started. But I can speak for the tag team thing, and I love tag team wrestling, and I love what tag team wrestling is. So I like doing that. really, really comfortable on my own now. But yeah, tag team wrestling is pretty cool.
Who would be your all-time favorite tag team partner?
Well, I don't know the exact answer to that, but I'll say this. Me and Adam Cole had a couple of years, I guess 2013, we were supposed to tag in Australia together, and we were going to call ourselves the American Heartbreakers, and that would have been fun.
Maybe you have somebody who you wish to work with, some wrestler from now, from present or from the past, who would you like to fight with?
As in, like, who would I want to be my tag team partner? Yeah. Anybody within my little JML group of friends. So Masada, Tommy End, Shane, Sammy, Dave Christ, Jake Christ, Desmond Xavier, Zachary Wentz. Any of those guys, that'd be cool.
And when it comes to tag teams and solo career, which one do you prefer?
But focusing on singles, but like if there's some tags here and there, that's great. That's super cool.
Okay. You were on the PWI 500 list 4 times. And what does it mean to you?
You know, well, I try not to be jaded by being in pro wrestling so long. Geez, no, not so long. By being in pro wrestling in general, because a lot of guys I know, they just be like, "Oh, well, the PWI list is stupid. It doesn't mean anything. Whatever." I just know that when I was a kid, I used to love reading the PWI 500, and I thought it was super cool, and I still think it's super cool. Like, it's great to be included on the list of these wrestlers who have done a lot. Do I think sometimes it's a little off? Yeah, because the first time I was listed at number 197, and I was ranked above Jushin Thunder Liger, which is insane, obviously. So that's ridiculous. But you know, to be on the list is cool, and to see your name in the magazine is cool. That's you know, I'm not too jaded to the point where I can't recognize that I'm still a fan of pro wrestling, and that's going to be something that I can show my grandkids, you know, or when I have actual kids, I can show my kids that too. Like that, so that's cool. It's little mementos, stuff that I can hang on to.
So the number 1 spot on this list isn't your goal for the wrestling career?
That'd be great. That'd be awesome if that happened. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm sitting here like I have a list of goals written out somewhere, and one of them is for my career. One of them is number 1 on PWI 500. But I mean, you know, everybody I think has the same ultimate goal for the most part. I think everybody wants to be the main event of WrestleMania, and if you're main eventing WrestleMania, you'll probably be for that number 1 spot. So that'd be cool. Like, it would be an awesome thing to be able to say.
I wish you all the best.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You fought in many different wrestling federations, like CZW, when we are talking about this, in Evolve, in TNA, in WXW. Do you see any differences in the styles of these federations?
Yeah, people, you know, because it's a different crowd all the time, and that's the cool thing about pro wrestling, is that you're not going to get the same audience every time. There's always going to be new people there. You always have to go out there and treat it like no one knows who you are. And you have to go out there, and you can't half-ass it on any day. You have to push yourself. You have to try and do your thing. Like, so it's cool. There's different styles. There's different ways people do things. There's different things different crowds respond to. So yeah, you have to be able to adjust, though. That's part of being a good wrestler.
When you are competing in Europe and then you are competing in the America, do you change something into character to get more attention from the crowd or not?
I mean, I'm really just me. I turn my volume up a little bit. That's about it. But again, adjusting to whatever crowd you're in front of and trying, and you have to be able, it's a great art form, you know, because you have so much leeway of improv and things like that, where you can just change everything on the turn of a dime and just figure out what works with that crowd and try and invest them and entertain them the way they want to be entertained. So every crowd's different again. So you work everything differently.
Do you have some region that you really like to work at? Maybe Europe, America, or?
I love wrestling I love wrestling in New York City. I love wrestling in New England. I like wrestling in the Philly area. I like pretty much wrestling wherever I go. It's awesome. They're willing to pay to watch pro wrestling, and if I'm part of the card and they're willing to pay their hard-earned money to watch me do what I love to do and hopefully give them their money's worth, that's always the best.
Okay. 2 days ago, you won WXW Shotgun Championship for the second time in your career. So congratulations for this achievement.
Thank you very much.
How does it feel to be the champion?
It's cool. It's real cool. Like, again, it's cool that it's put in a position to where there's trust in me to be able to carry that championship and the company's namesake on my back. Not literally, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, it's not like it's just cool to be able to put in that position, and it's something that you always wanted to do. So I had a great time. I've had a great time with it. I've gotten a lot of positive messages and responses, so it's fun, man.
Which title reign do you remember the most?
Which type of ring?
Title reign. When you were champion and you've got the title reign.
Oh, title reign. Which title reign do I remember the most? I mean, let me think of the titles. The CZW tag titles were cool. Because I got the feud with OI4K, and they're amazing. I enjoyed my run as PPW heavyweight champion, which is a place in Pennsylvania. Because I got to wrestle some really cool people. I got to wrestle like Billy Gunn and EC3 and Eric Young. And I wrestled a lot of really cool people there. So that was a good experience. I loved wrestling. I loved being the Rockstar Pro world champion. That was awesome. I got to take that title over to Europe with me as well the first time I went. Yeah, I have fun pretty much wherever I go. I really love pro wrestling.
So that's all about the love to pro wrestling.
Yeah, of course it is. It's great that I get to do something I've wanted to do since I was 5 years old. There's not many people that can go out there and say that they had a dream when they were 5 years old to be something, and they went out and even tried it. And I'm out there, not only did I try it, but I'm paying my bills because of it. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's great that you chased your dreams and get what you wanted. I think this is really great. In one of the interviews, you have revealed the origin of your nickname, The Product. You said that it was created from your description of your penis as a product. And is it true?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a conversation I had with someone who was helping me out quite a bit at the time in wrestling when I first started. And he was giving me a lesson about basically, there are going to be girls who show up to shows that are interested in certain physical activities. And I went on just saying how that's not really, you don't just hand that out left and right all willy-nilly. And then I compared it to a product, and then we were like, hey, that's a really cool nickname. So we just went with it. And then it is unique. It's unique, certainly, the nickname itself. But it doesn't only have that connotation. It can, there's a lot of different ways it can be interpreted, but either way, it's been fun.
Could you tell us the story about your other nicknames or how did you get there?
Sure. The King of Taunts thing was the second one that came to be, and that was just that was something I said in a promo randomly, because when I was a part of the Juicy Product with JT, and just said it in a promo, and then I actually wanted to be there, but fans totally rejected that, it seemed, and they just kept calling me the King of Taunts. So I just, okay, I guess I'm the King of Taunts. And then the other nicknames started coming into play because I am a huge fan of Apollo Creed from the Rocky movies, and I love that he has like so many nicknames. I think it's the coolest thing ever. So I just started building them up. Let me think of all of them. Jewish Cannon came from when I was a kid, and that was a joke amongst my Pop Warner football team. And after you get up by a certain amount of points, again, it was like Pop Warner football.
Could you repeat the last two sentences, because there was some connectivity problem?
So Jewish Cannon came from my Pop Warner football days. So when I was real little playing football, I started on both offense and defense, and our team was really good. And in Pop, winning by a certain amount, are allowed to play your starters, and they're kids for it. So they don't like them So the joke was to put me in at quarterback. Well, I was the Jewish Cannon because I had a cannon for an arm, which I didn't at all, and I don't at all. So that was where the Jewish Cannon came from. Of charisma was something that I said in promos, and I really liked it. Also, say something enough that it becomes true. In the eyes of pro wrestling, it is. From Rich Palladino, who's a ring announcer at Beyond, who just came up with that on completely on his own. Your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler was given to me by Dan Barry, because I think he used to use that when he was starting. And there's also another wrestler who I'm friends with out in the West Coast, Swade Thompson, who calls himself your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler, and we always joke about that together. We joke that we are each other's favorite wrestlers, so funny. That came from
there are some problems with your internet connectivity.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Could you repeat the last one after your favorite wrestler?
Oh, Mr. American Rana.
Yes.
That's Beyond Wrestling's headline event every year, and I have good matches there, or important matches in my eyes, or in fans' eyes matches. So I decided, why not call myself Mr. American Rana, because I think it's hilarious and awesome. Davey Wrestling came from my feud at Beyond with Johnny Gargano. Then, what other nicknames do I have right now? Cream in your coffee, your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler. The 104-minute man came from the match, the 104-minute match I had with Dave Christ. I also referred to myself now as the main event, because when I was because I main evented a lot of shows in Europe, and I decided, why not just make that a part of the character, because I think that it fits. It's definitely a character that would talk about that quite a bit, so why wouldn't I? Yeah. So I mean, there's a bunch. There might be other ones too that I can't remember, but yeah, it's cool. I have fun with it.
What about this? When you have T-shirt, you have taunt.
Oh yeah, that's one of them. Because the King of Taunts, and it's just doing a bunch of taunts. I love it.
Okay. Understand. You will make your debut at Brie Combination Wrestling at the BCW Christmas with a Vengeance. How did it happen, and what is the history about you getting a chance in BCW?
they messaged me and told me and gave me the December 16th date, and I was available, and we were able to come to terms, and I'm really excited. I like wrestling in New York, so that should be a lot of fun. I believe BCW is a relatively new promotion.
Yeah.
So it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I always look forward to wrestling at new places and to having a good time.
I'm sorry. What is your game plan for the triple threat against Cheeseburger and Michael Orlando?
I wrestled Cheeseburger one other time, and I was at Ring of Honor, wrestled him in a 4-way for Ring of Honor TV, and I've trained with him a bunch. I go into every match pretty much thinking that I'm going to do me, and they're going to have to adjust to me. So I've seen Mike Orlando work a lot. I've seen him wrestle plenty of times, and I know he's a good wrestler, and they're both going to be tough to beat. But
bless you.
Thank you. But I plan on doing me, so I don't plan on losing.
And could you tell us more? What do you think about your opponents?
What do I think about them?
Yeah.
I think they're both extremely talented. I think they're both fantastic wrestlers, and I think they're both guys that I'm looking forward to being able to wrestle. But I also think that I'm better, and that's why I'm going to win.
You said earlier that you just going in and talking a promo. So I will give you an opportunity to cut a promo for your triple threat and BCW Christmas with a Vengeance, if you want.
Well, I think I just did that, didn't I? I think that my opponents are great wrestlers, and I think they deserve to be in headline matches, and I think they deserve to have big opportunities and things of that nature, and I'm really excited for that. I'm excited to headline the show and to have a great match. I just think that as great and as good as they are, that I'm just that much better, and that's why I'm going to win.
I've got one more question about this fight. Do you prefer to come to this fight as a face or heel?
I prefer to go to the fight as David Starr.
Okay, that's a great answer.
Just so you guys know, I haven't seen my cat in forever. He was just sitting there. I was petting him and I'm tickling him.
That's a beautiful cat.
It is a beautiful cat. He's my handsome devil right here.
I would like to talk about now. I would like to talk about the future now. In one of the interviews, you said that your dream opponent is Shinsuke Nakamura.
I've said probably like 30 other people as well, because I think that answer changes every time I get asked.
Do you remember why he was your favorite at this time?
Because he's incredible. He's amazing. His charisma and everything about him is awesome, and it would just be something that would be great to share the ring with.
Okay. I don't know if there is any sense to ask about other 30 wrestlers that are your dream opponent. So I will skip this question if you want.
I think the most common people I would say would be like Flair, Jericho, Michael, like all my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that'd be awesome. Flair, Jericho, Michaels, AJ Styles, Nakamura, like Samoa Joe would be great. There's so many guys I would love to wrestle. Kurt Angle, Triple H, The Rock. There's so many guys. But it probably would change every time I get asked that question.
Okay, understand. What are your plans for the future in general?
To get better every single day. I try not to worry about other things that I can't control. So all I want to work on is just getting better every single day.
Would you like to change something in your character, or just stay David Starr as he is today?
No, you always have to evolve. But I think the thing with the character I portray is it's very close to my reality. So it's easy. It's a little easier to evolve in that regard because I'm very close to just being myself. So it's not super difficult to adjust and evolve as a human being or as a character because I'm evolving and adjusting as a human being. Of course, you always have to change. You always have to make little tweaks and evolve and do whatever you have to do. Look at a guy like Chris Jericho. Like, he's changed so many times. Sting has changed so many times. But then you have guys like Flair, who Flair has pretty much been Ric Flair for so long, and it's just. But then you look at guys like Hulk Hogan, he was on top of the top, like, and he had to change. The Rock changed. Everybody, Cena's changed. There's so many people, and you have to keep yourself fresh. So, yeah, there'll be changes to me, and but that happens every day because I have a new experience every day.
What are your goals in wrestling, and is reaching WWE one of them?
What are my goals? I mean, again, I just want to get better every day and continue to be able to live on pro wrestling and support my family with wrestling, and hopefully build it to the point where I can support a family of my own with wrestling. Is WWE a goal? I mean, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't, but I'm not like worried about this second. If they called me tomorrow, that'd be cool. If they didn't call me ever, that'd be okay too. As long as I'm okay with myself and I know that I'm putting myself out there and I'm just working hard, that's all that matters. But again, everybody wants to main event WrestleMania. That's the goal all the time. But like, there's plenty of other options out there, and it's a great time to be a part of pro wrestling because of it.
One of our viewers, Mateusz Mikołajczak, asked you, is it true that when some wrestlers outside WWE says that he doesn't want to go to the WWE, he must be stupid or liar? Do you agree with this statement?
Not necessarily. I mean, no one's stupid for their own beliefs. If they don't want to go to WWE, that's their life. They can do whatever they want. There are guys who get offers from WWE and turn it down because they feel that it's just not the right time for them or they're not interested, whatever. Everybody has their own value and everybody has their own system and everybody thinks their own way. So that's not everybody's goal, and nor should it be. You have to be realistic with yourself. You have to just make your goals based on whatever you want your goals to be. There are people I've seen start wrestling and their goal is to like be a main eventer for CZW or be a main guy on the Ring of Honor roster, or hell, some guys, I want to be a consistent performer on the WXW Germany roster. There's people that have different goals, and that's great. Not everybody should have the same goal because not everybody's going to get that. Like, it can be on your mind, whatever, but who am I to tell somebody that their goals or ideas are stupid? It's whatever they want.
Okay, and it was another question from Mateusz Mikołajczak. Can you name at least 5 things that you know about Poland?
About Poland?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm not going to say that I'm not going to sit here and think I'm like some kind of savant on Polish history. I'm not super familiar with a lot of things in Poland. I know that it gets very cold. I know that it was taken over by Germany during like the World War II time period and stuff, and yeah. But other than that, I really don't know too much about Poland other than it's cold, and that it's cold, and that and it's hard.
Oh.
I had a phone call real quick. I just declined it. No worries.
Okay. About cold, it actually depends. If there is a summer, it's like the 20 Celsius above, and when it comes winter, there is like -20. So it depends on.
That's crazy.
There was another question, this time from Kuba Granecki. There is a famous sentence in the world of pro wrestling. You shouldn't be a wrestler if you don't want to be a world champion. What is your opinion about it? Do you agree or disagree?
Well, again, like, obviously, different people have different ideas on what they want to do. I'm somebody who always wants to be the best, so I want to be a world champion. And if, I have that mentality for myself that I wouldn't be satisfied with anything less. But that's, it's just kind of like everybody has a different goal and everybody has a different mindset. So who am I to tell anybody else what their goals should be?
You were a part of Global Wars. It was the event between Revolution Pro and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Could you tell us more about this experience when two federations collide? Because there are two different styles, European style with Revolution Pro and Japanese style in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Could you tell us more about this experience?
Sure. I mean, New Japan has a great roster and they have an amazing, prestigious company. And I was fortunate enough to be a part of the joint show that they had with Rev Pro in London, in York Hall in London. And it was a great experience. It's, when you get two different, each match, like Chris Hero versus Ishii was like one of the best matches I've seen. It was one of the best strong style matches ever. And you just have great talent come together and they make magic. And that's what happened. You had like Liger versus Marty and Ospreay versus Bushi and Shibata versus Sabre and Hero versus Ishii. Like and there's so many others. The matches were so great. Everything was so good about that. So, yeah, it was just great.
There is a question from Zico the Game. You said earlier about Chris Jericho and that he was one of your favorites.
Hell yeah.
What do you think about the list of Jericho and Y2J catchphrase, you just made the list?
I think Jericho is one of those guys who almost everything he touches turns to gold. I think he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's so good at it. The list was I guess he stopped doing it now, or what?
No. He keep it.
Did he? I thought they got rid of him and Kevin Owens. So, well, either way, the list is great. I love it. I like it all, man. Like, he's so good. He's always been able to keep himself fresh, and he's still relevant on television now, and he's been around for, 20, 25 years? He's amazing.
There's a question from Maciek Kania, and this is, again, a question about Poland. What would be the first thing you would like to do when you come to Poland?
Is it bad? Is it bad that the first thing I'd want to do is probably like a more emotional thing for me? Because I would have to see the Auschwitz camp probably.
Why?
Well, I'm Jewish, and that's something that is very important to my heritage, and it's something that strikes me close to my heart. So I would have to go check that out. I'm sorry, that's the first thing I think of.
No problem. But, I understand.
But that's something I would need to do.
There's changing the topic. There is a question from Showoff. What are the main differences between wrestling in Europe and in America?
I mean, the difference is probably that the chants that the fans do are different than the ones in the States. They pretty much chant like a soccer crowd. And they sing songs and they do all that. It's just a little different like that. But it's really not too much different from the States. They're just a lot of passionate people out there that love pro wrestling.
There's another question from Zico the Game. What do you think about James Ellsworth in WWE? What is your Oh, it's just another question. So what do you think about James Ellsworth in WWE?
He clearly is getting a reaction from the fan base, and he's clearly someone that people want to see. So he should be there. He's doing great in the role that he's in.
There's a question from Krzysztof Rajkiewicz. Is there something that you always wanted to do in a wrestling match, but you didn't have the chance to show it?
There's probably ideas that I've come up with that I haven't done yet, or I haven't gotten to do, or anything. I'm sure there are, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
There's a question about the global wars we were talking about. What about a communication between the stars from Revolution Pro and New Japan Pro Wrestling?
What, like speaking the language or whatever? A lot of the Japanese wrestlers have a good understanding of English, so it seems. I wouldn't say that a lot of English wrestlers have a Japanese background or anything like that, but they just had a good understanding of English. But again, at the end of the day, you have two or more great wrestlers in the same ring, you're gonna get something great, and that's usually what happens. And that's what happened for Global Wars. It was awesome.
I think that we can slowly getting into the end of this interview. It was very, very fun.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I would like to ask you more about BCW again. What are your plans for recombination wrestling? Are you going to fight more times, or this triple threat is just one-time offer?
You know, who knows? As of right now, I don't have any other dates with the company, but that doesn't mean that they couldn't be added later or that they won't be added later. You know, I never know. It's just, you know, maybe there'll be more dates. Maybe there won't. I always like to leave doors open. So my plans going into it are just to go out there and have the best performance I can for the people that pay to be there.
Okay, it is the question from Mateusz Mikołajczak. How important is communication in the ring between wrestlers?
Very. But there's so many different ways of communication. You know, there's body language, there's verbal, there's whatever. So, again, if you're a good wrestler, you'll make it work.
Okay. There's a question from Showoff. What are your hobbies in free time?
I like Sudoku. I like to play the game on my phone 2048. I love music.
What type of music, if I can ask?
I love all types of music. I'm definitely more of an alternative rock or indie rock guy. But I've had times in my life where I've been like about different pieces of music. Like when I was young, I really liked oldies, like the Beatles and Elvis Presley and stuff like that. And then in like my early teens and a little bit before I was a teenager, I liked like 80s classic rock, like Van Halen and even like 90s rock with like Guns N' Roses. But I liked like Aerosmith and all those bands. Then I liked that alternative rock stuff now and like indie rock stuff now. And punk rock is something that's awesome. So I'm pretty much into that kind of stuff.
For the last question, I will give you just the free microphone. You can say whatever you want for the end of this interview.
Sure. Just right now?
Yeah, right now.
I appreciate having me on. It's always great to connect with new fans and have new experiences with new people and be seen by new people maybe that haven't seen me before. Please check out my website, theproductds.com, which has direct links to some of my merchandise stores, such as bottomlinemerch.com/David Starr or prowrestlingtees.com/David Starr. Follow me on social media at theproductds. That's on Instagram, that's on Snapchat, that's on Twitter. Look me up on Facebook, just search David Starr. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for having me. Make sure you check out WXW Now, wxwnow.de. It's a great subscription service in which you have pretty much the entire WXW library, which is so extensive and has guys like Bryan Danielson and Chris Hero and Daisuke Sakamoto and Kenta Kobayashi and Samoa Joe. Everybody has wrestled for WXW. And it's amazing to get the WXW Now experience. So check that out. I'll plug some other places that I know have subscription services that I work for as well. czwstudios.com. That. Beyond Demand, which is youtube.com/beyonddemand. Rockstar Pro, rockstarpronetwork.com. Like, there's so much good wrestling out there. Make sure you check it all out and subscribe to it. Make sure you're paying for your wrestling, because good wrestling isn't free, and it's not right to steal. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I really appreciate it too. It was a huge honor to have you here on wrestlingnews.pl podcast. I'm just going to add that the link to your website will be added in a few minutes under this window. And cool. I think that's all. Więc dziękuję Wam bardzo wszystkim za obecność na tym wywiadzie. Jeśli oglądacie powtórkę tego wywiadu, to oczywiście dziękuję za obejrzenie go w całości. So thank you very much, David Starr, for appearing here, and have a nice day.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me. You have a good day too.
Yeah. Thank you.